Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Today we're speaking with Bruce Garrity in conjunction with his Cerulean Collective exhibition, which is on view now through November the 9th. Hello, Bruce.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here today. So I'm going to
Happy to be here.
share my screen so we can see your show. So tell us a bit about yourself in the show.
Well, I've been painting for like 40 years now, so uh, a while. And most of what's in this particular show is sort of studio stuff. I uh, I sort of do. I think of myself as painting sort of two different things. I paint studio still lives and figures, and then I paint uh, landscape, usually sort of landscape interiors nowadays. And sometimes they include both still life and figures as well. So everything in this show is studio oriented, and a few things are a little older. This one we're looking at now, and its companion piece. And I usually just these kinds of things. I just they're called Studio 8, 9, 10. I just number them, but they're basically of studio bric-a-brac, painting materials, that sort of thing, which I've painted really since almost the beginning of, well, literally the beginning of my career. I was even in undergraduate school when I did the first body of work that I was really happy with were some watercolors along this line, and I showed them in a number of group shows and things like that, and they were fairly successful. And at the time, I tried to make oil paintings of them, and I wasn't as happy with the oil paintings. And I don't know whether that was I just really wasn't quite sure how to do them yet. I don't know. I mean, but anyway, the subject kind of came up again around, I don't know, 2010, I would say. I started really looking back at those paintings that I had done then, and and I was also working I was teaching at Rutgers then and had access to a space there that was between the two studios that I taught in. So I started literally working at Rutgers again, which was more of um, a, a much more lighted space, I guess, than I worked in at home, which was an old pole barn at our house, which was very dark. So the paintings became much lighter, more colorful, more painterly, I think. So uh, the stuff itself that's in them is really almost it's the same stuff I would teach with that I would put into piles to for my students to draw from. So it was the same sorts of things for the most part. The one on the right there, that's new.
Wait,
Here, oops,
which one?
you go back. Yeah, the one on the right there, that's brand new. That I just finished painting.
Hang on.
And and it has some oddball things in it just that are not only my own but also a few things that came from trips to the Barnes collection where he has sort of interesting objects mixed in with the really uh, expensive paintings. He has sort of ordinary bric-a-brac. What we're looking at now is it's not really a study for the large painting that's in the exhibition. It's more of a study from, I kind of did it in the middle of painting the big painting to work out some problems I was having with the big painting. It's watercolor, but it's on UPO, which is it's not really paper. It's actually a synthetic kind of thing, which I had never worked on. Um, I had done a lot of watercolors on hard plate Bristol before, which doesn't really absorb the paint. And when I went to do some again, the paper somehow had changed its characteristics. It didn't really seem like the paper I had used. It's probably been 10 years since I did that. So so I tried this Yupo stuff, which is interesting. It's difficult to work on because nothing soaks in. So every time you put anything wet on it, it not only puts something down, but it'll take things up. So it's an interesting surface. This is there are two paintings in here that are sort of an homage to Haim Soutine. And it's also I it's actually a little bit of a harkening back to that dark space that I was talking about, the pole barn, which we recently had to tear down. So that space is gone, and this was kind of a last hurrah of that darkish space that I used to work in.
So it's interesting that the physical conditions affect your painting like that, like in terms of light.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It makes a big difference. I mean, they're all pretty specific as to place. Now, sometimes they're memories of places. I mean, that painting that we just looked at was literally, I mean, the barn was already gone.
Hmm.
So, and this is the large painting I did for this, which is, I forget what this is. They're like 44 by 70 or something. So, not the hugest thing I've ever painted, but a large painting. And it's of the new studio that we just built. So the light in this is much different than the old one, and even a little different than when I was doing these sorts of things at in the Rutgers studios.
What kind
But
of
it's
light
still
does it
pretty
have?
much the same thing. You know, it's my studio stuff. Occasionally, well, here we're that's like the flying sub from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. So when I was a kid, I made models for a lot of years, and my brother still actually sells old plastic model kits like they're sort of like they're antiques. So.
Huh.
So some of that stuff shows up. The dinosaur, I mean, that's a model that I made with my son when he was probably 7 years old. So he's 30 now. So that's from a while ago. And it shows up in my students' work too, because I often put it in still lifes for them to work from. So like I say, there's there's this close mesh between my studio practice and my teaching practice. And and then also, just those uh, nods to art history. I mean, there's a couple of books there. That's a postcard of Bill Scott's. There's a book of Balcom, oh, excuse me, Balcom Green's work, which I actually own a couple of his paintings, and then a favorite Matisse painting on the right, and then amongst that, just various things that come. Sometimes these things they come from friends, like the plants came from a painter friend of mine from school. She just moved from Manayunk to Maryland, and she couldn't take some of this stuff with her, so we ended up with some plants that were hers. So they ended up in this painting.
So you mentioned the new studio has different light. Is it natural light or artificial light?
It's a mix of both. I mean, I can kind of control whether it's natural. There's a fair number of windows in the building, but also there's like track lighting. It's different kinds of light. I mean, I specifically put in track lighting that was actually the same as what's in the gallery, so that we could paint under the same light that the paintings would be shown in eventually. So. This is a slightly older piece. I think I did this I want to say this is from 2018. And I always wanted to expand on it. I mean, oftentimes I paint paintings where I'll make a painting and then there's more stuff just, one side or the other of it. It's a little bit like just seeing motifs out in the landscape almost. You look one direction, it's one thing, and then you turn your head a little bit and it's something else. Uh, and this was, started out, it's kind of all pieced together. Some of these things were together and then others were not. So the paintings themselves, I mean, they're not realist paintings by any stretch of the imagination. All of this stuff was never together at once. Some of it was, and then there might be some other group of things that I'll put into it. I think of you know, people ask me sometimes. I was actually at a realist show last night in Philadelphia, and somebody asked, "Well, are you a realist painter?" And no, I think of myself as a figurative painter, and I like that in sort of both senses of the word. That there are figures and objects that you recognize, and at the same time, that notion of figurative as sort of more metaphoric, I suppose. Uh, I mean, some of these things, like this particular figure here, this sculptural figure, is the scale of it is vastly changed. It's actually like a life-size sort of uh, I don't know, garden sculpture that I took a bunch of pictures of at one time, and of course, I shrunk it down for the scale of this painting.
So are you working from life and photo or like together, or how do you put them
You know,
together?
they're different things are painted from, some are painted from life, some are painted from drawings, some are painted from photographs. Yeah, it really sort of depends. Some things are painted purely from memory. And oftentimes I would say I paint more from memory, although the stuff might be sitting in the same room, I usually paint more from memory than I do from necessarily looking a lot at what I'm painting. I draw from it. So, things look sort of, I don't know, when people think that they're realistic looking, that's because they're sort of drawn from life mostly. But
Well, I guess the drawing, I mean, I found that like I get to analyze something and then that's imprinted. So then when I go to paint it, I'm already like in the mode of that form.
yeah, yeah. And, some of these things, I mean, like this. That sort of head was all painted, and then I decided I wanted it to I was looking at the still life again from a different position, really from where I was painting it from, and I was seeing a profile. So then I drew that and painted that kind of over into the other, and that happens a lot. This is another painting that is also sort of a last homage to that dark space in the darker studio, the pole barn studio. The the and once again, these are also, takes, I don't know, takes the wrong word. They pay some homage to other painters. I mean, the vase there was one that Bonnard used to use all the time, and
Oh, the cherry vase.
yeah, that cherry vase, which I was always looking for one, trying to find an actual one like that because it seemed like it was just, a store-bought kind of thing. And but I finally found a good photograph of one. But even there, it's actually I stretched it because oftentimes he would change the proportions of things. So, and then this is another watercolor that I did on the Yupo. I don't know. People call it Yupo paper. Like I say, it's not paper at all, but it has that. What I like about it is that surface that you know doesn't really absorb. So you're basically pushing just puddles of colored water around, and it has an abstraction to it that I really rather like. And plus the light hits these differently than sort of normal watercolor paper because nothing seeps into the surface of the paper itself.
Is it clear or is it
It's
translucent?
actually it's actually I guess it comes in different kinds of forms like that. You can get a translucent one that's really more like Mylar, like get drafting Mylar. But this stuff is actually pretty white. It really has a high white surface to it, and it's fairly thick actually. So, so it's a lot like working, weight-wise on 140-pound watercolor paper, but it doesn't buckle at all, which is very nice.
Yeah, that's helpful. Well, it's a fantastic show, Bruce. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
The show's up through November 9th. We hope people come down to check it out, and everything's also available on the website, ceruleanarts.com. So thanks again for being here and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.